market's flat. Market's flat here in Victoria. We know this, but it doesn't stop Gav and myself looking for sites for our clients. Myself and my little boy, we went to the auction, and that didn't go well. Between friends, between a feeso like that, Charlie and I ran it up to, your 5-6. So, we took it nearly $250,000, and then the big guys jumped in and said, we'll take it from here, PK. You're close to the tree, and but dealing, once you start dealing with traffic engineers and all these sorts of things, you put your, rear reversing, circles into that. And even though, like you say, you can drive over it, I think the idea is not to drive over, Welcome to the Development Tank, powered by ReadyBuild, bringing you the best price and value in knockdown rebuild and dual occupancy projects. If you're planning a single or a dual home build, book a call with me. Just scan the QR code on your screen or visit littlefishproperty.com/call to get started. And for all the property nerds out there, head to littlefishnetwork.com/free to unlock exclusive insights, property tools, and the best online property community in the game, completely free. Let's get into the pod. Hey guys, welcome back to Development Tank. Pumped, we've got Guru Gav back. We're in the office, we're looking for sites. The market's flat here in Victoria, we know this, but it doesn't stop Gav and myself looking for sites for our clients. Now, we're going to show you the sites we've been looking at. We've been out on site, we've been out at auctions, competing for our clients, trying to secure them properties in their desired locations for property development at the back end of this year. So trying to knock a couple off before the end of the year. All right then, let's get into it. Gav, thanks for joining me.
Good to be back.
Mate, you're hard at it. You're hard at trying to secure these sites in these certain locations. I guess the interesting thing is, you work in different pockets with different clients, and we work with people with different budgets, different needs and wants, different briefs, different criterias. But today we decided to talk about some clients you're working with in an area of Melbourne you're working with that we've both seen that it's still pretty hot and it's still pretty hotly contested, which, rather it cool off so we can get a nice little bargain for our clients. But all the same, it's still pretty hot there, Gav.
It is, yeah. Look, this client's quite particular. They currently live in the Doncaster area. They want to stay close to that. Their plan is to do a side-by-side townhouse development, keep one, sell one, and then actually probably go on and do another one and slowly work into an area that they're really happy with. Now, the initial sort of, I guess, criteria was to be in that sort of Doncaster secondary school zone. But for them, down the track, they'd actually like to get into the East Doncaster secondary school zone, which is maybe, a step up. It's still, Doncaster's still a fantastic school, but both of those schools are, do attract attention, that's for sure. But East Doncaster is highly regarded, no doubt. So I started looking in the sort of Doncaster area, obviously, and then just in surrounding areas, and knowing what their medium to long-term goal was, I just thought I'd see if I could find some little nuggets in the East Doncaster school zone.
Yeah, nice, great work, Gavin. Yeah, like you said, these are clients, and we've done it for people before, haven't we? The school zone is quite an attractive thing, and sometimes hits the brief, and we need to make sure that it's a great development opportunity, but it's inside these zones. So as they progress through, and their kids either go to the primary, the secondary school, these options are there available to them, because that's the thing. These school zones, they don't really get bigger, but they get more sought after, especially with immigration and certain cultures that really value, that public school system. So, a real high priority for these type of clients. Yeah,
look, great client, pretty flexible. Obviously, we've got a few criteria we need to meet, but at the same time, they've also got a budget as well that we're working with. So, there's areas in and around East Doncaster Secondary School that are going to be, 1.7s, 1.8s, 1.9s. There's some pretty good prices for derelict houses on a good land size, and there are good land sizes throughout these areas. The land sizes are quite good. The frontages can be from 16, 17, 18 metres, quite common, unlike some of the southeast corridor areas we're looking. So great development sites, but there is also a catch where there is quite a lot of undulation through the area as well. So it's hard to find a site, to be honest. It's, less than 2 meters of fall across it sometimes. Even 1 meter, they're quite scarce.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, that it is quite leafy area, a leafy area in parts, which is nice, and a bit of undulation. You get some views every now and then, but yeah, definitely a couple of layers that you need to navigate. Well,
and that has a cost that comes with it. So if you've got someone that you're working with a budget and you have to allow $60,000 to $90,000 for earthworks and retaining walls and so forth, that just chews into the budget. So it does limit, I guess, my search areas a little bit as well.
Yeah, no, nice, Gav. So we've got a couple of sites we're going to look at today. One that we went pretty deep on. Our client was overseas. I reckon you were probably off trailing somewhere, mate. The mountain bikes were calling. And I got the call up, and myself and my little boy, we went to the auction. And that didn't go well. We got scorched. But anyway, better for the run. But we'll talk about that one. And then we've got another site that come onto your radar, which looked pretty good, but probably had a couple of issues which we'll unpack.
Yeah, look, we do get people feedback through the channels, through the YouTube and so forth, saying that they really enjoy being a part of the journey. And, we're answering questions that they ask themselves when they're looking for their own site. So even though we didn't pick up either of these sites, it's actually good to sort of, talk through them and explain the things that we liked, we didn't like, and the journey that we took.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Gav. A lot of the lessons are in the ones you knock back, not so much the ones you buy.
Yes.
That could be said for a few things. But Gav, let's talk about this one. You're on Highfield Road, Doncaster East.
Yep.
Take me through it, Guru.
Okay, so we're number 23 Highfield Road. High level, we're 20 kilometres from the city, so maybe a little bit further than what we normally look at, but we certainly aren't guided by the distance from the city. It's more so in this case, as we know that the school zones and that the lifestyle that the buyers are after. Just checking in on the site here first. We'll zoom in here on Land Checker as we normally do. We'll get the details up. So we've got 650 square metres, so pretty much a standard size block, a nice 16.8 metre frontage, so great to work with. It's west facing, so probably your second preference, I guess. Going into the high res pick here, and we've got a tree out the front, and we've got on the corner of the boundary here, we've got a power pole, but we've got 2 crossovers in place, so mate, that solves a couple of problems there straight away.
Happy days.
Yep. No real major shadowing issues to be too concerned about. There's a couple of habitable windows on this property here, but we've spoken to our designer. They've had a look at it, and we can massage a few things to make it all work.
When you've got nearly 17 metres as well, you sort of get pretty confident on your ability to sort of place the footprint of the house in a way that's not going to cast a big shadow. But also there, Gav, GRZ1 with no overlays, like.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Happy days.
That's a nice picture in your planning information area there. On
not many SBOs in the Eastern Corridor, which is great.
Yeah, correct. It's a bit of a, and that's the thing. You do have to navigate a bit of fall, and yes, you do find some big trees, but it can be pretty smooth sailing when it comes to the overlays.
Well, just looking at these first, I guess, items on this site. Already we're going okay. So it was definitely worth digging a bit further, and it was within the price range. From memory, it was the asking price is 1.3 to 1.4. Now, our experience in these areas suggested that's probably going to be maybe 100 under straight away. So, as a starting point. But we decided to dig a bit deeper, sent it over to the client. They were pretty happy. They pointed out the same thing that we found as well, which is there's a primary school here just behind the property. Yep. My initial concerns is just a bit of noise. Some people can't handle a group of kids laughing and screaming. I'm sure you can relate.
No, you got to live with that. And 100%. And I think probably our due diligence found that it is quite a dead part of the school.
Yeah.
Sort of the back end of it, which by the looks of it, didn't really see a great deal of sort of activity during the day.
Yeah, and another point that we always consider when looking at being close to a school, and it was something that came up on the Little Fish Network today, and we were back and forth with one of the participants there, just regarding a site that they were looking at that was right opposite a school. Gave him some feedback in the network. But with this particular school here, it would look as though that is the main drop-off area there on the western side. So the opposite side of the school to where our side is. Mind you, it's still a bit of a through road here, and there is a small sort of street avenue, if you like, which leads into the school. And no doubt, some parents are probably going to, if they're allowed to, are going to drop off their kids there to get into the back of the school. So, but
it was just that was the thing when we looked at it. When you look at it, it's all got parking down there. You barely, when we went to check it out for due diligence, you can't do a U-turn in that street. So it is. I think at best you're sort of getting people slow down on Highfield Road and they're walking down that street. And I don't know, I feel like it'd be flowing there. But anyway, when we can confirm when you were there, you didn't really feel like there was a primary school there. You couldn't really sense it.
Yeah, you couldn't see
opinion.
it. Yeah. So look, absolutely factors to be considered, but in this case scenario here, probably not the worst case. Something we pointed out with the buyers. They bent down, they did a walk through the house, they did a walk around the block. They were happy. So we pursued it to auction day.
Yeah, we did, 100%.
And how did it go, Pete?
Yeah, no, it wasn't that great. It wasn't that great. If you go to the feasibility, and we can run through it. But yeah, on the day, Gav, just for some feedback for everyone out there. This was only a few weeks ago, but it was busy. A lot of Asian people there. I felt very out of place down there. But they definitely took it up to me and ran over the top of me. But yeah, it showed me that the market's alive and well there. There was multiple bidders above me, above the quote. It wasn't just a couple fighting it out, and there were probably people there that didn't even get a chance to play. So to me, that tells me, that takes me back to being at auctions when the market's flying, and the market was flying then. It wasn't just a couple of people that have fought it out. It was a genuine, cluster of excited property people to call that place their own. So anyway, market felt pretty hot there.
I think a lot of the agents in the southeast corridor would love that sort of attention at their townhouse auctions, wouldn't they?
Oh mate, it was the auctioneer was, I don't know, he was having a ball, but it was dragging on for a bit. But he was having a ball because it was well over the quote. It was on the market. He didn't need to go inside. It was giddy up.
About as easy as it gets.
Yeah, correct.
All right, let's have a look at the feasibility here. So, advertised up to 1.4. We thought it'd be about 100 over, so we were just, penciling in 1.5 plus.
Yep.
We've got all our settlement costs there, our acquisition fee. We've been through the cost for this will be a ReadyBuild dual.
So it's the play.
230 square townhouses. They're client was really happy with our design, the floor plan. They love it. So they were really happy to pursue that design on the site. So very similar costs as we've covered off before. There was a metre of fall on the site. So as we discussed earlier, it's not too bad in this area, and something you'd absolutely run with. We've got this is one of the early feasibilities I did before we've sort of finalised our specification for the ReadyBuild. So I had the extra 50 grand in there, which I think is a little bit overs now. We actually managed to get it under that, which is great. They did have a slightly unique breakout for their lending, which I always modify customer. And we had in their resales, the feasibility more or less told us we need to be around 2,050,000 to get to around 15%, which is our target. Now, keeping in mind that these guys are going to live in one, I think you want to be in and around that percentage anyway, even if you're keeping one, just because it gives confidence in the project itself. Yeah,
correct. I don't think you can, because that's the thing, if you're going to live in one, for the people playing at home, if you're going to live in one, you can look to take out agents, commissions, GST, won't be payable on that, on the one you keep. So there's a few things that make the FISO look a bit better than it should. So it really should stack up in this form, and then if you're going to live in it, you probably just reap the rewards of living in one.
Yeah, well, that's right. And like I said, these guys would probably they're motivated to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So in that situation here, let's say we're at $500,000 net profit here.
Yeah.
If the project only came back at 350 or 400, then there's that conversation with them to say, well, if you're going to live in one for 2 years and you sell it, you're not paying capital gains tax. So you're going to make a lot of that back anyway, if not more. So it's just part of the conversation. You know, I'm not going to tell them what they should be doing, but I'm just going to give them as much information as I can so they can make an educated decision. Yeah,
correct, 100%. And what we always say to our clients is make sure you check with your accountant, your broker, your financial advisor, whoever it might be. You know, we're here dealing with the numbers, the purchase costs, the build costs, all those sorts of things, and then to give them the tools to make educated decisions. Like you said, if we're in the circa $500,000 range and we're sort of comfortable there, well, you know, we're looking pretty good. Whether you sell both, you know, live in one, rent one, whatever it is, it's all still pretty relevant stuff, and it's going to help them make the right call.
Yeah. In the end, it comes off the amount of money that they owe on the property, so they owe less and they're paying less interest.
Creating wealth.
That's
creating
right.
wealth. Not sitting around waiting for it. Actively doing it. Fish.
Maybe we should just quickly touch on the comps. We don't go in it too much, but just to give the people watching here an indication of what we were considering. We were at $2,050,000. So just a street over here. I think we've got here a couple of results. 2.2 just there.
Yeah.
I think there's a 2.5 up here now. 2.5 is a big number, and I believe that one was a 3 stories, maybe a little bit dated, but still quite nice. And then just on the other side of the school, so west of the school, just in here, we came up at 17, I think. That was $2,080,000. So, you know, we're doing a 30 square house, just double levels, single garages, really nice finishes. It'll be great, but it's, you know, we're not talking, you know, basements or anything.
Toorak, are we?
Yeah. No, that's right. So we're really comfortable with the $2,050,000, I think.
Yeah.
What that enabled us to do, going back to the feasibility, we sort of, I guess, a week out or a couple of days out from the auction, we were talking 1,535, and then just before the auction, you sort of gave them a few numbers to consider, and you got a bit higher than that.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even that much more. Like you provided them with that. They were overseas, and they said, "Oh, we're happy to go to 5.5, might have been 5.6 in the end. You know, 20 grand, 25 grand between friends, between a feeso like that for one they were pretty keen on. So I went there pretty bullish that I was going to give it a run, and we started at 1.3, and sort of I had places to be. So so we run it. Charlie and I ran it up to your 5.6. So we took it nearly $250,000, and then the big guys jumped in and said, "We'll take it from here, PK," which was unfortunate. So,
you had 150 grand extra in your pocket.
And that's the thing, and I don't think they were stopping anyway. So it stopped because everyone else stopped pushing the other person, but they kept rolling. But anyway, it was a good little eye opener to how sort of positive the market is there. We've got one of our clients that's doing a 4 townhouse site in Doncaster East. It wasn't that far from here. I dropped in whilst I was up there, but it was good to see the strength in that local market for other developments that we've got on the go at the moment.
They're big 4-bedders, aren't they?
Big 4-bedders, maybe 5-bedders, but a couple of 435 squares in Doncaster East. So don't tell me that's not going to hit the market beautifully there.
That is definitely something they target over there.
Yeah.
Just to wrap it up, 1,635 it ended up selling for.
Yeah,
so
spot on.
250 over the top of the range advertised. Like I said, you'd expect at least 100, but that's a big number.
That's a big number, and that's the thing. When you see genuinely sort of 5 bidders above the top of the range, and then like I say, there would have had to have been 80 people there. There were people there that didn't even get a run at it. That tells me that there's overflow from that site. Only one person got taken off the market there, so that tells me there's overflow. So as these sites keep popping up, this overflow of underbidders are heading towards a similar type of product. And you know what? It was a livable house. It was cheerful, but it wasn't much to look at all.
Well, I wasn't there, and I don't know him personally, but I got a feeling I know why most of them were there and why they were targeting that house.
Yeah,
because it was in that zone.
In the zone, 100%. And you know what? The 2 crossovers made it a bit easy for everyone, I reckon. So I don't like it when there's not much barrier to entry. Like anyone out there could have gone, oh, this is a dual occupancy site. And not a great deal of due diligence is needed from an access point of view when the 2 crossovers are there. But anyway, onwards and upwards. So, we missed that one, went home with our tail between our legs. But we keep looking, Gav, and this is one that you landed on not too long after that.
Yeah, that's right. This one, though, is in Doncaster, so we're actually closer to the city, but the school zone still good. And like I said, our buyers are in that area now, and they were happy to keep going in that area. So I thought, let's just broaden our search a little bit. And whenever I find this is 45 Board Street in Doncaster, so anytime I find a site that's backing onto a park or got some greenery on either side, I'm going to take a closer look. So if we just get the high vis up here, so there you go. That's not too bad outside the back fence, really, is it?
100%. You only got one direct neighbour that you're a fair way away from. But yeah, great. Yeah, looking out there, you're seeing nice big trees and that sort of thing. It's a nice aspect.
Yep, and just before we get into the bit more detail here, if I zoom out a bit, you got the Westfield Doncaster Shopping Centre there, so walking distance comfortably, and that there is the secondary school just a little southeast. So that's 300 metres away. So you're within walking distance to both a massive and amazing shopping centre and the secondary school. You're backing onto a park, and you don't have to cross over any main roads to get to them. So you'd be pretty happy in that pocket, I reckon.
Yeah, it's good. Good little pocket, Gav. So what slowed you down on this one?
Right, so if we go into the high res, now this again, 645 square metres, south facing, preferably it wasn't, but you know what? We're ticking a lot of other boxes. So, and again, the buyers went out, had a look at the open inspection, did a walk around, actually really liked it, and were really happy to pursue it. Concerns for us were the tree on the nature strip here, providing enough clearance. I can go to the street view in a minute, and it doesn't look too bad. And then, of course, the roundabout here. Now, if I actually just zoom in a little bit more, you can't really see it here. I'll go to the street view. That there is pretty much at street level. It's ground level. So it can be driven over without any problem. We'll get into street view, see if we can get this up. Maybe make it a bit clearer. All right, here we are. If I'll go back a bit over here. So just there, you can see the island is at ground level, and you can drive over it. I mean, we're looking at doing a crossover up here. So quite a ways up. Go up a bit closer. It doesn't look too bad there, but as you look a bit closer, you're probably 4.5, 5 metres.
You're close to the tree, and but dealing, once you start dealing with traffic engineers and all these sorts of things, you put your, rear reversing, circles into that. And even though, like you say, you can drive over it, I think the idea is not to drive over, you know.
Absolutely. Well, that's
the idea is for everything to comply in a way that doesn't mean you need to sort of back over the medium strip. But yeah, our advice was that it would be pretty touch and go.
Yeah, town planner looked at it for us. He suggested, look, a little bit too hot for him to touch, and to contact the traffic engineer, get their feedback. But he also pointed out the tree and said, look, you really need 3 metres clearance between your crossover and the tree. And even looking at it here on the screen, we're probably not going to get to that. So,
and it's got you can tell it's got quite shallow roots as well, which then suddenly if you start getting into sort of root investigations and things like that, it's not going to take too much digging for you to really sort of butcher into those roots. Yeah,
I think to be confident in getting a crossover in there, you'd have to invest between $1,000 and $3,000 for consultants and non-destructive digging around the tree, all sorts of things. And great site, client really liked it, but it just wasn't. We just didn't see the value in investing any money at this stage, so we decided to pass on it. No, correct, 100%. And I don't think, I don't think the comparables would have been as strong as the site we just mentioned earlier because of the school zones. But yeah, looking at it now, like Landchecker just said, it sold recently, last week, I think. 143, 148, I think.
1485, yeah.
1485, there it is. So, great project. You really only needed resales around $2 million, And look, to be honest, there were a couple around 2.2 and 2 mil in and around there, but they were a bit older.
Yep.
Some of the bigger resales were 3 levels.
Yep.
I mean, not that I really like that, but just a bit bigger.
Question without notice. Geez, if you liked the area, is it maybe a ReadyBuild single?
Yeah, well, I think if
You know, imagine that park, 640 square metres, put a 50 square home on it, Gav.
Easily, yeah. I think that's a great play. Like exactly right.
If the client was inclined to go down that path, we didn't have a client looking for that in particular at the time, but now I'm just thinking it through. At that price, could be a good opportunity. These are the ones that you pop a single on there, no town planning, could be a great play.
Absolutely. And look, in some suburbs, it works better. We've been looking in a suburb a little bit further north of this, and I've sent it to a client who about a single build, and in that particular case, it just didn't quite stack up for me. I wasn't confident enough.
Yeah.
And he said, "Look, what about doing a dual lock on it?" And it just doesn't get even anywhere near it. So in some areas, in some cases, doing a single is actually more profitable.
Yeah.
Just again, it's the demographic, it's what the market is after.
What the market wants, where are your comps for your singles and your duals, and then also I think the side as well. You know, a 645, like it's more about not competing, not putting a single home on a cherry ripe dual lock site that's 750 square meters. It's like, hey mate, you know, you're getting carried away with your single, but something like this that's 640. Struggling to get the second crossover in, you know, could be a single. But anyway, that's just good to keep your eyes peeled out there, guys, and just remain flexible. This client in this area was specific on a dual lock. That was their strategy, and they wanted that flexibility in their asset to cut it in half, sell one, and live in the other, rent one, whatever it might be, and you lose that flexibility when you go a single. But yeah, geez, you'd be pretty happy there. Little gate in the back there, Gav, straight out to the reserve.
Kids would love it.
That's it, biggest backyard in Doncaster, and you don't need to mow the lawns. But yeah, great work, Gav. Like that's nearly a ripper site, but one we need to pass on and move on to the next one.
That's what John West always said, wasn't it? It's the ones that you reject.
No, you thought about that, didn't you? Thought about that and you landed it. Well done. Yeah, Gav, good stuff. We will keep hunting for this client. No doubt something will pop up soon.
Yeah.
Running into Christmas or even over the Christmas break when everyone's a bit asleep at the wheel. Hopefully we can tap one in. But no, awesome work, Gav. We'll be back soon enough talking more sites.
Great. Look forward to it.
Thanks, Gav. Anyone that's going to get value out of that, please like, share, subscribe. Jump in, thelittlefishnetwork.com. It's free to become a fish. All this sort of value is in there. Gav's in there. I'm in there. We're trying to find sites like this. We're trying to figure it out for you. Happy developing.